When Mike White called him, asking if he'd return to the White Lotus for a third season in Thailand, Jon Gries said, "I'm available anytime, anywhere. You name it, I'm there." But unlike his trips to Hawaii and Sicily, Gries' involvement in Season 3 required an extreme level of secrecy. At the start of production, he flew to Thailand disguised in a hat, dark sunglasses, and a COVID mask, and made it to set undetected. But that was only the beginning. When I finally got to Thailand, the first thing I wanted to do was meet my castmates, Gries tells Variety. Everybody likes to feel each other out because we're all in this thing together. He'd get invited to hang out with the cast and crew before executive producer David Bernard would call. "I'm so sorry, Jon, but you can't go." "I ended up staying in my room a lot," Gries says. Initially, White wanted to hide Gries from even the cast of The White Lotus, but he soon realized, between wardrobe fittings and makeup, that Gries was bound to cross paths with the other actors. In the beginning, they were toying with the idea of keeping me in utter secret, like in solitary confinement. The actor says, Gries was ultimately allowed to socialize with the rest of the ensemble, but the series' tight-lipped approach to his character's return paid off. When Grieg is revealed as Gary in the Season 3 opener, it came as a shock to viewers, who thought they'd seen the last of Tanya McWoyd's murderous spouse. Flash forward to the finale. Grieg is in a tense conversation with another White Lotus alum, Belinda, Natasha Rothwell. She knows he had something to do with Tanya's death and serves as a reminder that Grieg's tranquil life in Thailand, where he rides his yacht and swims laps in a hillside mansion courtesy of his ex's fortune, could be taken away at any minute. In the penultimate episode of the season, Grieg offered Belinda $100,000 in exchange for her silence, saying she could use the money to fulfill her dream of opening her own spa, which is what Tanya would have wanted. Belinda has moral qualms about accepting this deal, but with the help of her son Zion, Nicholas Duvernay, she returns to Grieg with a counteroffer, $5 million. Grieg eventually acquiesces, and the two characters vow to disappear from each other's lives forever. Below, Gries discusses his third go-around at the White Lotus, and whether Grieg's is a happy ending. He also makes sense of his character's cuckold fantasy and details what might have happened if Belinda came back to the negotiating table alone. When I was covering the first season of this show, I published a list ranking the characters from good to evil, and Grieg was third on the good side, only behind Belinda and Quinn. What happened? You fell into the Mike White trap. Was it apparent to you while filming the first season that Grieg might not be who he says he is?
No.
As anyone would, I read the character and thought, he's got to be too good to be true. When is the other shoe going to drop? But then I thought, maybe he is the real deal. That he's sincere in his plight. The doctor says he's done at any minute, and he's just living life like water off a duck's back. At that point, there was no legacy with the show. We had no idea what was going to come next, so I said to Mike, I don't have any tricks up my sleeves here. I'm just playing this straight as a gun. And he said okay. Despite the secrecy surrounding your return, I did see some behind-the-scenes photos of you out and about in Thailand. Were you ever recognized in public? There was a day where we all went out on a boat and then stopped at a local sandwich place on the way back in Phuket. An Australian guy walked up to me and said, I know you. You're from the White Lotus. And I know they're filming here. Of course, he didn't recognize any of the other people, even though they were the cast. I just said, yeah, they're here. I'm visiting. What a perfect time to visit people I know who are working here. I really sold it without missing a beat. He said, I have a golf company. You should come visit. And I said, I'm only here for a week. I'm just going to stick it out where I am. What was it like when the first episode aired? I had friends reaching out to me saying, I can't believe you lied to me. That happened throughout the whole run of the show, because some people don't watch when it airs. They binge later, which is too bad for them. I think binge-watching The White Lotus is cheating yourself.